I think that the world is changing where everyone is, technology is becoming. What's wrong with
Well, no, I'm just thinking about like the physical, like the physical things that happen to you as you age, right? Like your eyesight gets worse, right? Yeah, you can get glasses and stuff like that, but it's like, as you age, I'm just thinking about like, reading, going through logs and scanning logs as a 60-year-old, and just What's going on, Tech fam? It is just my Tech Sense, and I am Will Does Tech, and I am joined by my co-host,
Johnnie Tech. What up, Tech fam?
Johnnie Tech. So what's going on, y'all? How's everything going, man?
Everything's going pretty good, man. Having a good time. Just thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight.
Okay. What you think you're going to eat for dinner?
It's not healthy, which is bad, but I think I'm going to have a little bit of macaroni and cheese. Come on, man. Pork steak.
You can do better than that.
I could, but
but you're not. But you're not.
Listen, man. I'm doing good. It's just it's time for me to have a little cheat meal. It never hurt nobody.
You probably just had one. Okay. All right. Well, look. I mean, we'll go ahead and jump into the subject. So today we're going to talk about is it too late to break into the tech industry, or is there an age limit to those who want to break into tech? So, Johnnie, what do you think about that? There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that talk about just that, and right. From your standpoint, from my standpoint, what do you think?
All right, so just to get a full understanding, we're talking about, is it too late to break into tech? Is it like if you're starting new, are you too old? Are you too old to start a tech career?
Yeah, like if you were, let's say, 40. Right? Is it too late to pivot? Maybe you were working in the banking industry, and now you want to go into tech. You think it's too late to actually do that?
It's never too late.
Okay.
Depending on what level you are in your career, what you're looking for. But if you want to start from ground zero and work your way up in the tech field,
yeah,
it can be done no matter the age. So
yeah,
and I think the reason for that is it's based on a lot of things. It's based on how tech is always changing, the newer technologies that's coming out, and how you can position yourself to be desirable in the field. And, I think you can pretty much do that at any age.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But in real life, is that true? Right. And I only ask that.
Let's hear it.
I only ask that because I'm a little bit older than you are, mm-hmm. And the older you get, when it comes to learning new technologies, I feel like it's harder, okay. Right? So it's not that you can't do it, right? The probability is there. The possibility, maybe a little bit slimmer. So you can actually get into tech. There is no age requirement. Nobody asked. But at the same time, if you're not willing to adjust and adapt to technology as it flows, right, and continues to change.
Well, that's my point. I think we have the same point here. So it's like, those changes is what's going to help people break into, what's going to help people that maybe haven't been doing it, help you transition. So a lot of people that's been doing it, like I feel like I've been doing it for a long time. I been in the field for over 10 years and started from the very bottom at help desk.
Yeah.
So the things that and people who've been doing it earlier than me, who've been doing it since like the DOS days, those type of people, they're not gonna like what I'm getting ready to say. But the fact is, though, it's changing. So a lot of the technical skills that you may have needed then, all of it's automated for you. So you don't have to know how to do all those things anymore. Like if you come in and you learn the new technology, you learn how to use a new system. If you can use a sim tool, you may not need to know how to script because the tool will do it for you. I know a lot of people are not gonna like to hear that, but the baseline is I can go learn how to use Splunk, learn what everything means in this, and I can go get a job as a Splunk analyst or something along those lines. I could become a Splunk administrator.
Yeah.
I don't have to go in and learn how to script. I don't have to learn you need to learn you have to know the basics. You still have to go in and know the basics of how things work as far as your, network, some things about the host, but I don't need to know about the CMOS. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think, right, at the end of the day, if you are flexible, you're willing to learn whether it's new technologies, old technologies that have kind of morphed into, you know, a different type of technology, then you can make it, you can pivot. I think that if we take the age piece out of it, right? Because we've established the age doesn't matter, right? If you're curious and you kind of, when it comes to new technologies, you're pretty much at the same level as anybody who has just learned about, you know, that new technology, whether it be AI, cloud, or, you know, whatever emerging technology has come about. If you are willing to put in, you know, more time to learn it than anybody else, then you're at a higher playing field than anybody else because you've taken that time. So it's like every time something new comes out, it kind of reestablishes the boundary or the baseline, right? And that kind of equals the playing field for anybody who's, you know, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, versus somebody who's in their 20s, who's always been on their, you know, phone or always had technology within reach. They're still learning this new thing the same way you're learning this new thing.
And they're learning it, you know, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. And I think, like, another example I wanted to give is just like, I mean, even computers in general, they didn't always have a graphical user interface, right? Yeah. So when you're on there, you're in the terminal, and people are like, oh, that looks crazy. But now everyone uses a computer, and they're not, no matter what age, you know.
Yeah.
Like you talk about phones, like, you know, you have old grandmothers they using Androids just like anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, or iPhone. So I just think that the world is changing where everyone is, you know, technology has become what's wrong with
well, no, I'm just thinking about like the physical, like the physical things that happen to you as you age, right? Like your eyesight gets worse, right? Yeah, you can get glasses and stuff like that, but it's like, you know, as you age, I'm just thinking about, like, you know, reading, you know, going through logs and scanning logs as a 60-year-old, you know, and just you know, just the things being blurry, you know, like it's not. You're not necessarily as focused because, you know, being older, you know, it's a gift and a curse at the same time, right? There are pros and cons because, like you're more mature, right? Well, you should be more mature, right? Because you've gone through different things in life, and you know, when it comes to a job and being understanding how the way, you know, the world kind of works, you understand that versus somebody who is just entering into you know, the job field. At the same time, right? It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right, and you know, again, when you're older, right, your ability to
you know, to do some of the more strenuous tasks could be different,
right?
But a point to that is, like I said, we always saying cyber tech is ever growing, right? So how many career fields are there now that are somewhat non-technical? You know, where you're a lot of you can be doing a lot of auditing. You know, something where you may not be sitting behind keyboard all the time, and you could take skills that, like, let's say you were an auditor at a bank. There's certain policies and rules. You can you learn those same skills of rules and regulations that are now for cyber, and now you can do the same job you've been doing, but now you're in the tech industry. Yeah. So it's literally the same thing. So I mean, I think there's transferable skills now. I think maybe in the past it was thing where everyone thinks that it's all keyboard, it's all you know, what's that movie where he has like 18 screens up and he's just swordfish. He's just going crazy like that. You know, it's not really like that. Cyber and tech in general is like it's just an open field. Like, it's free game. There's so many different things out there now, you know, and different career fields opening up. Yeah. I think that anybody can jump into them, and the fact that they're new, you might be the first person to get in that space. Yeah. And you might start creating you might be the trailblazer for that position, you know?
Yeah. No, that's good points there. I just, again, there's in theory, right, the way things can be, right? There's no age requirement whatsoever. But at the same time, when it comes to the reality of the situation, you know, again, like I stopped playing, you know, Nintendo or, you know, whatever, PlayStation 5, like, there are just too many buttons on the controller at this point for me, right? Like, you know, I'm used to A/B, right? A and B, and a simple, you know, the simple, you know, up, down, left, right.
Sega Well, that's
Sega, Dreamcast, right?
I think Dreamcast still had the X and the Y, man. you way out, you way out of the loop, man. I'm not even a heavy gamer. Right. I know that.
Pong on Atari. I mean, just again, like it was simple, right? And now with all those buttons, the Z, the Y, the different triggers, I'm like, nah, I just don't have the patience,
right?
Nor do I have the time to sit here and learn all these different games that are out there,
right?
And how to I can go off on a totally different tangent when it comes to video games. I just don't have the patience to do that any longer. And again, I think a lot of that is due to me just getting older in age. I just don't, my patience when it comes to those things has gone down.
Right. I can agree with what you're saying, but also it's cyber is it's not a contact sport, So
the enemy. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say the enemy, right? That's the military speaking. Definitely the military speaking, but the the adversary, an attacker, a hacker, their techniques, right, are becoming more sophisticated, right? So again, I mean, video games is just a layman's way of putting something that is more complicated than what I'm used to,
right,
into now I have somebody that is trying to force their way into a network, right, to get whatever data they're trying to get, or put whatever company or business into a compromised situation.
Right.
Their tactics have become a lot more sophisticated. So that's something that again you have to deal with. And I understand that not everybody's going to be on keyboard. Not everybody's going to be an analyst, right? You can be an auditor, right? There are different roles within tech, but at the same time, when you are trying to adapt to, let's say, an attacker, right? All those things change, right? Your RMF, your cybersecurity framework, like all those change and adjust to the different threats that are out there.
Right. But I think based on what we're talking about, I think it's all relative. Like I say, I don't think that you can transition if you've been, anybody can do whatever they want, but like if you've been doing a particular job that's, who knows, it's not really technical. It has some of the skills, your skills are not as transferable. It's going to be much harder for you to transition into tech, but it's just going to be much harder for you. And then there's certain career fields that you might not be able to get into programming. Because there's a lot of skills that need to be done, and the automation and things that's out there may not be enough to help you break into that field.
Yeah.
And at an older age, you may not have the, you may not want to get into it. Might be a little too tired. I don't know. It's harder to wake up in the morning. You're like, I don't want to. I don't want to do it.
9 o'clock at this point feels like midnight, right? So
so maybe the shift work might kill you. You can't do third shift anymore. Yeah, so I hear that, but as far as like your brain power, I think like that's some of the last things to go, man.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, think about like in let's say basketball, right? Like I have found when I was younger, right, that a lot of these dudes these older gentlemen or ladies like know the foundation of basketball. And you can sit here and do all your and one moves, and they're just standing there. And it's like, once you do this, right, I'm gonna pick the ball, right, because they understand, like, foundationally, this is how the game is played, right? And you're doing all this, all this stuff that just doesn't even matter, right? You're taking extra dribbles and you're exerting other energy that would be probably better off just kind of keeping that for the duration of the game. But it's like you understand that, right?
You know how to conserve your energy. When to use your energy,
when to panic, right? Because again, you start you start having these breaches and stuff. It's like, do I panic now, right, or do I panic at some other point, right? So your judgment's different,
right?
So again, to kind of sum this all up, at the end of the day, right, all things being equal, it's never too late to break into the tech industry, right?
I would agree with that.
From this entire conversation that we've had, right, just understand the different obstacles that you may encounter trying to break in, but at the same time, it's definitely very possible, right? There are certifications that you can get. There are different platforms that you can get, kind of hands-on experience.
Right.
There are different capture the flags. There's all these other ways of getting experience and explaining that in a way that would make an employer feel like your experience is relevant, i.e., transferable skills. So yeah, don't lose hope that this isn't for you. It definitely is. If you have the passion and the drive to want to get there, go for it.
For sure.
Go for it. So to wrap this up, I mean, I'd be curious. Maybe there's somebody out there that has felt like their age has been holding them back.
Right.
As to to getting a job in tech. We would be interested in hearing kind of what your experience is.
This is the information age, so we can help you, can let you know what basically help you get into the field by weeding out all the things that's going to be obstacles for you, these are the most important things to get you right there. So
yeah,
for sure, I think anybody can do it if they're willing to put the work in. So
yeah, and I'll one more thing, age is I mean it's relevant to it's I mean it's relevant, right? Because when I was your age, right, and I was a commander, actually I was younger, and I was a commander, I mean my soldiers would call me grandpa, right, and it's like because they're 17, 18, and I'm 26, 27 at the time. It's like, what y'all talking about, man? I'll outrun you, and I have the ability to do everything that you can do, but probably better, right? So it's just relevant to kind of the situation. So if you're 30 and you feel 20, again, age is truly just a number. So, but yeah,
say it, man. But all right, that's what I was talking about. Man. I knew he was gonna say it.
But yeah, all right, we're gonna wrap this up, man.
All right, that's just my tech sense. I'm Johnnie Tech, and
I'm Will Does Tech, and we'll talk to y'all later.
All right, y'all have a good one.